Okay, so today we are starting our chicken coop build. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today. It's October 2019. So here we are on the new farm, finally getting started on several things we've got to get going before we're actually really here. We're still waiting for kind of our final move-in date, which will be over the next week or two. And we're going ahead and starting a few things we know we have to get done right away. So what you see behind me here would be our run, so our chicken run. So the chicken run we had actually built for us. That's not something I wanted to try to do on my own. However, we do need to get a coop built. So we're actually going to go through the process today and show you how we're building our pallet chicken coop. So what we've done is we took several pallets that were here, actually were used to deliver all of our roofing materials. So they're nice heavy duty pallets. They're all the same size and they look pretty good. So I want to give a quick disclaimer and say, I am not a woodworker, definitely not a professional. When it comes to gardening and fruit trees and that kind of thing, I know a bit about that, but when it comes to woodworking, not so much. But we're gonna give it our best shot. So we have an idea of kind of how we want the coop to look, and essentially it's gonna be about 4 feet deep, about 8 feet wide, and then we're gonna do some things as far as trying to keep as much wind out as we can. However, we do know that we're here in Arizona, so the most important thing for us here is actually ventilation. So we do not want it sealed. We also know that our chicken coop is gonna be inside of a protected run. So there's not any reason at all for us to actually design this coop so that it's predator proof. We've got a lot of things we're going to be doing on the outside of this fencing that will ensure that no predators get inside of the run and hence inside the coop. We've already gone through and we've picked out a couple of the pallets that we know we want to have showing on either end of the coop, and then a couple that we know we want to have on the base. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut now. We're going to do a little bit of digging so we've got a flat surface to get the framing done on, and then we'll show you a couple of the steps as we go and explain as we go through this process. Okay, so here we are a few hours later. I know I said I would show you progress, so I'm going to show you the progress we've made. So let's go ahead and go on in the inside. Let's take a look and see where we're at right now. Okay, so as you can see, maybe not the straightest looking thing as far as the inside is concerned. However, we've got about a 4 foot by 8 foot space in here. So typically for us, as far as laying hens, we typically keep about 15 to 20 laying hens. So this will be plenty of space. Typically it's closer to 10 to 15, but 15 to 20 is what we're going for. So we've got the whole entire outside done completely in pallets. So let's show you a couple more details. So as far as how we stack the pallets, the flat side of the pallets are flat against the ground. So what I will be doing, I do have rebar, so I'll be putting a hole and adding rebar down here to actually attach this entire structure to the ground. In each one of the corners, we used a couple of pieces of 2x4 that slid into the quarter on either side to actually secure the two pallets together. So those are completely secured together. We still need to come back and add another piece up here to secure the top, so that's not quite done yet. What you'll also notice is the top. So we don't have anything up top. What we actually have is we have a corrugated roofing panel up at the top. So what we did is cover half of the run in corrugated roofing panel. We also added a 2x4 at this end. So this end is our east end of this. Well, our intention to do is to take this piece here, have it just a little bit higher so it slopes down this way, and we can actually do rain encatchment on the back side of here. So eventually what we'll have is we'll have a gutter at the back, which will drain down into either an IBC tote or one of those 55-gallon plastic barrels, and that's actually the water we're going to use to water our chickens. So as much as we're able to fill into there, we'll utilize that to actually water the chickens. So what we still have left to try to get done today, I do need to make sure we secure this. We're going to definitely do that. I need to make sure this corrugated roofing is not going to go anywhere this week. And I'm not sure if we're going to get too much more done today, but we'll update you once we have a few more things done. So actually, before we move on, I do want to show you the outside. So we actually took and we painted the outside of these pallets. So hopefully you get a pretty good shot. I think it looks pretty good. So obviously it looks a little rough on the inside, but you know what the reality is? Chickens are really going to be the only ones that see that. However, all of us and anybody here that's going to be visiting us will see the outside. So overall, I think that actually looks pretty darn good. Maybe not professional, so it may not look 100% perfect, but pretty darn good. So I think it turned out pretty decent. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up for today. I wanna give you a quick update. Let's take a peek at what else we got done to finish out today. Okay, so first things first, we are talking about laying hens. They need some place to roost. So we have our roosting bar set up here. Again, about 15 to 20 chickens, so there's plenty of space in here with these 3 bars. We can always add additional bars if necessary. So next thing would be how we're actually securing this entire thing, keeping it from moving in the wind. We do have pretty strong winds out here that come from the west, so they'd be coming in this direction. 1/2 inch 3-foot long rebar that we've drilled down into the ground. So they're about 2 feet down into the ground. We got another foot that's hanging up here. I've got 4 of them securing all 4 sides of the coop itself to keep it from blowing over in the wind. We just want to make sure it can't blow over at all. And of course, last but not least for today, we do have our nesting box. So we got this nesting box actually from Tractor Supply. We really like it because we don't have to put any nesting material in here, so we don't need to put any pine shavings or straw or anything like that in here. It's just made out of plastic. They'll come in here, lay the eggs. They roll down into these little trays that they can't get into to help keep the eggs clean. So we're going to start out. We have 13 laying hens right now, so these 3 boxes will be plenty. We do have another one of these that is actually a double as opposed to a triple that we can move on to the other side, just in case we do increase our flock size. So we thought these were pretty cool. Really looking forward to having some clean eggs for a change. Okay, so we're back. It's a week later. Came back. We got a few things we're doing here on the coop and run area, but we did want to finish up the coop today. So the only thing we have left would be attaching our feeder. So we've got automatic feeders we're going to be using with these 3-inch PVC pipes. We painted them brown just because it looks better. But in the end, there's a lot of videos out there on how to make these. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. However, we did get a couple of crossbars that we added in here on the outside of the coop. That way we can get the strapping in here to get these attached. So what we did is we took a 10-foot piece of 3-inch diameter PVC pipe, cut it into 3 pieces, and we have a 90-degree elbow at the bottom and a 45-degree elbow at the bottom. Also have a cap that we'll be putting up at the top. So we have 3 of these that we're going to attach to the outside of the chicken coop here. We're going to try to stay to this side because we don't want to get anywhere near where water would be coming in. If we do have a potential for rain, this is covered in this area. If it does rain, we can always put caps on the end and then just come out when the chickens are out and about and take the caps back off. But one thing that we had on our old property that was a big problem was mice. And that obviously is because of a lot of grain on the ground, the chicken feed on the ground. So we wanted to get these up off the ground so that way at least the mice aren't getting up into the feed, which is definitely a problem we were having with the old way we had this set up. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and get these attached and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're done. So that took Lori and I about 20 minutes or so to go ahead and get this done. So I'm gonna have Lori slide in a little bit closer. We'll kind of show you some details in here. Okay, so the bottom, pretty straightforward. These caps we just have on there temporarily for now just to keep critters out of here until we're moved in next week. These will only be on there if for some reason we need to cover them. If it's gonna rain or something like that, we'll cover these at night or even during the day just to make sure that we don't get anything inside of here. We also have caps on top, again, just to make sure that we don't get any creepy crawlers or critters coming down into the top, and also water. If we get any condensation or anything up there on the roof, we'll be able to make sure that's not going to happen. And then as far as these adjustments, so these little plumber, I don't even know what these little strap things are called, but they do adjust very easily in the back to actually clamp the 3-inch pipe. So it would be very easy for us once the chickens are in here, we can actually adjust the height of these entire things by unscrewing that, loosening it, and we can slide these up or down. And we did test, I mean, I can't pull these off of here. So once we get feed in here, I don't know how much feed it's going to hold. My guess is probably 10-15 pounds at the most. But either way, it's definitely going to be able to hold that weight without any issues. So now I think the last thing we have to do here on the coop to get ready for chickens is probably satisfy Lori and make it look a little prettier. Okay, so for the most part, I think we prettied it up. So unfortunately, I'm not very good with a paintbrush, so Lori's gonna have to come back here and actually clean up some of this white. That way it's nice and neat. But otherwise, I think trim looks pretty good. So let's take one more peek at the coop before we move these chickens in. So basically, I think we had talked a little bit about maybe adding some additional things on here, but I think we're actually going to leave it just the way it is. I think we're going to have no issues with the chickens being nice and comfy during the summertime and during the wintertime. Wintertime, really not worried at all for these guys. They can handle our 30-degree, 40-degree nights without any issues, and occasionally a 25 or so. They won't have any issues. And then obviously during the summertime, as air flows through, there's plenty of airflow for these guys. So I think we're going to be just fine. A couple other things we may come back back and do. We may add something to that backside depending on what happens once we do get our first rains, to see if we're gonna get too much as far as water in on the birds. We definitely don't want that to be happening, because cold and wet is not a good thing for a chicken. So we can always come back and add that if we need to, plywood or something. But otherwise, I think we're in pretty good shape. I think for the most part, we're ready to get our laying hens here with us and of course, be here ourselves. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments, leave those in the comment section down below. Instagram and Facebook, we post content there you won't see here on the YouTube channel. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That is a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with that link, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. It's September 2019. So as you guys, it's October. Thank you. Let's try October, because it's October.